Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oklahoma City Metropolitan's Area Public Schools Trust. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the March 5th, 2013 meeting of the Trust, and I would recognize a motion to that effect.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We have two items for suburban school district funding. First is an application of funding for Deer Creek Public School District driveway and parking lot at Deer Creek High School, an increase of $35,338.11. Mr. Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you said, this is an application by Deer Creek Public Schools for driveway and parking lot at the high school in conformance with what you've seen before with the suburban school applications. We find this in order and recommend approval.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'd recognize a motion for approval.
Make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved. Or second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item, being asked to approve the application of funding for Choctaw-Tacoma Park Public School District security system and cameras for Indian Meridian Elementary School, $3,887.78 plus accrued interest. Mr. Todd.
In the same manner that I just described with Deer Creek, the Choctaw-Tacoma Park Public Schools has submitted this application for the security cameras as one of the suburban districts, and we recommend approval.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We've got our financial reports. We're being asked to approve the Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust Revenue and Obligation Report for January of 2013. Very little activity, some interest earned of about $14,281. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'd recognize a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item. We're being asked to ratify the issuance of and approve addenda numbers 1 and 2 for John W. Rex Elementary School and award the contract base bid plus alternates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to Gail Armstrong Construction, Inc. in the amount of $10,959,660 and accept unit price number 1A of $150 per linear foot addition of 36-inch cased pier, unit price number 1B of $25 per linear foot deduction of 36-inch cased pier, unit price number 2A of $200 per linear foot addition of 42-inch cased pier, and unit price number 2B of $35 per linear foot deduction of 42-inch cased pier, and approve contracts and bonds, project ES 35. Mr. Todd, please decipher what I just read.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the. I would like to note that this is the last of the official Maps for Kids projects to be bid. This downtown elementary. So we're happy to bring that to you today. You'll find that was handed out to you a corrected sheet that for the tabulations of the bids, the bid under Silver Cliff and for Oscar J. Bolt under alternates 1 and 6, there were typographical errors there, so what you have received is correct. So the Silver Cliff alternates 1 through 6 should be $580,500, and Oscar J. Bolt alternates 1 through 6 should be $634,000. What you have is the recommend for award of the base bid and all of the alternates 1 through 6. And then we had line item prices for drill piers. Not knowing what the drill piers might do in the ground, we thought it prudent to just go ahead and get prices in case there was more or less of these drill piers. We've already established prices through the competitive bidding process instead of going back and doing it by negotiation through a change order. So that was just to establish prices in case we use more or less of these drill piers. That's for the footing of the building. So as I said, this is for the base bid and alternates 1 through 6 for $10,959,660.
Are there any questions? Yes, Anthony.
How many piers are included in the base bid?
In other words, I remember that there was a lot of additional piers for Cesar Chavez that caused a lot of change orders and a lot of expense, and I'm wondering.
We have John Ward, the architect, here today, and he can speak to that.
I'm John Ward. The piers are on roughly 30-foot center. They're consistent with the spacing of the structural steel above. So there's a pier for every column that comes down. When we did soil testing, so there won't be any additional piers. When we did soil testing, we anticipated hitting bedrock somewhere between 50 and 55 feet. And so, and that was based on limited soil testing, or and when you soil test, you might do 4 or 5, 6 holes in an area to establish where the bedrock is. And so when we did the bid documents, we established our structural engineering based on those depths. So all the alternate is really for that, or not the alternate, but the line item is if in a location instead of 55 feet they go 60 feet, there'd be a way to compensate. And then likewise, if in an area they go 5 feet less, then there'd be a way to have to determine a value to then get a change order for a credit. So, but we don't anticipate any. There will be no additional piers. It would just be a function of whether a pier might be slightly deeper or shallower than was engineered.
In the case where, you're not exactly right, and I'm sure you're going to be exactly right, would there be any notification of what the deduction or additional cost was?
Yes, that's a great question. As the drilling takes place, what they'll do is they'll drill the hole and set the cage, the mesh cage, and then pour the concrete probably all in a day as they go through. They'll probably be doing 2 or 3, maybe 4 of those a day as they really get going. There will be someone on the site to review the depth of each of those piers and to document the depth of each of those piers as they drill. So at any given time, once it's drilled, we'll have full reporting as to exactly what the depth is. And so if we're going, so probably on a regular basis, weekly or so, we'll be informing MAPS staff as to what we're encountering. So there should be a heads up if there's any significant deviation from what we anticipate.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yes.
Have we? There were a variety of funding sources for this school that were comprised of both some MAPS funding, some TIF funding, private funding, and now that the bid has come in under budget, can you walk us through how those funding sources may change? Is it by the same proportion, percentage-wise? I'm trying to get a feel for, since it did come in under budget, that cushion that we now have, is it going to be allocated to a particular funding source, or will it be there in case of cost overruns?
The funding source right now will be the MAPS money and the TIF money. And because, like you said, it was under budget, there won't be any private money allocated to what we're approving today, but they have committed to provide additional money, I believe up to $3 million to do additional things at the school. So because we're fortunate beneficiaries of this great bid today, it will be just MAPS money and the TIF money.
And it's my understanding that the extra money that was private money is going to be escrowed at the community foundation.
I believe that's right, yes, sir.
I believe,
Okay.
and so that would be available in case they needed it, in case there were some additional costs that were not anticipated in the bids.
Okay, so any cost overruns that we would normally see as a change order, the funding source for that would be these private funds. It would not be the MAPS.
We still have MAPS contingency funds in there that were always there, that we will use for any change orders. Now remember, this is new construction, so we don't anticipate the kind of change orders that you used to see. And we'll see change orders later today where we're actually wanting to spend money because we get towards the end of a project. As you're well aware, I'm sure, that when there's still money left over within the project, we continue to do change orders to do more things there. But this being new construction, everything's taken care of. So in a perfect world, we won't even have any change orders.
Can you get us a cost estimate on, for the new construction projects we've had, what the percentage range of change orders has been for those new construction projects?
I can.
In the past few years, so we can just get an idea of kind of what that might be?
I can do that.
Okay.
And keep in mind that with a contract award of just under $11 million, the maximum change orders that we can have on this project will be, according to law, is 1.1 million, or 10% of the contract amount.
Right. I'd still like to get an idea of what we're going to be looking at.
There's also differentiation between project contingencies or project contingencies for change orders and program contingencies for change orders. It's my understanding that the project contingencies for change orders is what will be utilized in this before they go to the private funds.
Yeah.
I believe that's correct. So they won't be touching program contingency funds. They'll get private contingency funds.
I thought that private money was tied up some of that extra stuff they want to do inside.
Well, but you got to get the building built first.
Well, I know.
That was what the money was for originally, was for that.
The private money's going to be kind of earmarked for the inside.
But other questions?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Could I ask if, and I know you can't do this just right here, but I'm wondering if we inflated the project budget based on the assumption of those private funds, and the MAPS funds for that matter, the TIF funds rather. I'm wondering if we could go back now to what the original project budget would have been if there were no additional funds from the TIF or from the donations, and compare that with this new bid, and find out where we would have been if there had been no TIF funds or no additional private funds compared to this bid.
Originally, the original PIP had $9 million, and we raised that, I believe, to 10.5 for the MAPS part of it, and then the TIF took it to 12. So where we were originally when we started design on this, we were at $9 million. So we're not a whole lot beyond what we were originally.
Okay, that's true. I would just point out, however, that, where we made the addition to the budget based on the assumption of additional TIF funds and additional private funds, I think Claudia raises a point that should be pointed out here, that the addition to the budget, I would think, should be based on a pro rata share. And just from a fairness standpoint, I think, let's just keep that in mind as we go forward.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Okay. I'd recognize a motion for approval.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moves there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We now have several change orders. First, we're being asked to approve the Architectural Services Contract Amendment Number 1 with GSB, Inc. for Capitol Hill Elementary School, a fee increase of $20,425, project ES66. Any questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next, we're being asked to approve change order number 2 for Arthur Elementary School, an increase of $55,098, project ES63. Questions? Recognize a motion for approval.
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next item is to approve change order number 4 for Capitol Hill Elementary School, an increase of $152,991.68, project ES66. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'd recognize a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next, approve change order number 8 for Columbus at Jackson School, a decrease of $116,265.34, project ES67. Any questions? Is there a motion for?
Motion on that one, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rick. We approve. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Surprise. Next item is approved change order number 2 for Webster Middle School, increase of $9,596, project ES 69. Any questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Final change order number 7 for Hayes Elementary School, a decrease of $5,322, and accept the project and place the maintenance bond in effect, project ES 62.
Mr. Chairman, there's also a handout on this one for typographical error. If you turn on the back where it says final construction cost, that was corrected. It originally had the same total of $4,334,867. That was the total of the change orders, but the actual final construction cost should be $4,329,545.
Any questions? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We have one concurrence item, being asked to concur with Independent School District number 89 in approving the final plans and specifications, I-89 2007 school bond issue project S7006, classrooms and gymnasiums at Buchanan, Gatewood, Johnson, and Oak Ridge Elementary Schools, and authorizing the Secretary to advertise for bids to be received April 30, 2013. Any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval? To concur?
Moved.
It's been moved or second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Mr. Clowers.
Mr. Chairman, I've got several items on today's report. We have 21 schools in construction. We're nearing completion on 6 elementary schools. Those are at Hawthorne, Monroe, Parmalee, Arthur, Rockwood, and Capitol Hill Elementaries. Also nearing completion on Roosevelt Middle School and Northeast Academy and Capitol Hill High Schools. Final plans are nearing completion for the second phase at Classen SAS. And as you know, we awarded the contract today on the downtown elementary school. I-89 bond projects, we have construction continuing at several schools: Coolidge, Van Buren, Hayes, Wheeler, West Nichols Hills, and Monroe. Bids were received on March 19th, and the construction contract is scheduled for approval this month at Mark Twain, Putnam Heights, Southern Hills, and Stan Wadey for schools, for gyms and classroom additions. You approved today the final plans and authorization to receive bids on gyms and classrooms at Buchanan, Gatewood, Johnson, and Oak Ridge. We anticipate receiving those bids on April 30th. Preliminary reports are nearing completion for Heronville, Fillmore, Prairie Queen, Rockwood, and Eugene Field Elementary for gymnasiums. And we have bid dates scheduled for the 2 stadiums, the one at Taft. We will receive bids on May the 14th, and the Spiegel Stadium on May the 21st. And we have upcoming community meetings scheduled at Rockwood on April 2nd, Heronville April 4th, and Eugene Field on April 9th. All of those at 6 p.m. I might also add that staff informed me that there are 8 suburban districts that now have 0 balance in their account, and that the remainder of those suburban districts have been encouraged and contacted to inform them of their balance, so they might be thinking of ways to spend those monies and bring those balances down to 0.
Any questions?
They have a particular time frame to spend that money, or how's that work?
Probably within
2017.
2017? I guess. Okay.
Is there an update on the administration building? Do we have any new information?
I don't have anything further on it. The admin building.
We're very close to getting the appraisal for the district so they can use that in their negotiations. So we're moving on that. We just don't have that yet.
Other questions? You have in your packet the program consultant report from Architectural Design Group. Are there any questions about that? Are there any comments by trustees? Staff?
Mr. Chairman.
How about the letter from Labor Commissioner? Can we talk about that?
Real quick, I wanted to mention that you should have received an email already. If you haven't, when you get back, you'll see it, that because of the new construction of the parking garage across the street, starting April 15th, you won't be able to park in that parking lot. You'll have to park in the Sheridan Walker garage, bring your ticket in, we'll validate that. So that'll be a change.
Okay.
is the Department of Labor letters that we received on Parmalee and Rockwood. We're in the process of crafting a response to them. We feel that we haven't done anything wrong. We certainly didn't do anything to put the students in jeopardy. So we're, like I said, we're in the process of putting together that response.
How long do you think that'll take?
I'll have it next week.
Any other comments or questions by trustees, staff, citizens? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.